Hey guys, Bushcraft here, and evidently another video. Waiting to go get our newest member, cat member of the family, Joker, from the vet. He's okay and everything. He's just getting a couple things removed. If you know, you know. That being said, I came across this article on some of the forums that I read, survival things and whatnot. And a lot of talk here lately about EMPs this year. You know, how likely it is that an EMP attack happens in 2025. Some may think it's quite alarming and everything, but it's always something to think about. And I think I'm going to do a follow-up video maybe tomorrow or the next day about things to prepare for during this. And I've probably already done videos about it, but a lot of the old videos, they just don't show up in people's feeds anymore or anything like that. So might as well do a refresher. But the subject today is, will there be an EMP attack? And when I say attack, an EMP attack, it is, man-made type thing. That doesn't mean something from space or anything like that, unless the aliens come and shoot EMPs at us or something like that. But when I say attack, it means being attacked. On the 1,000th day of, well over 1,000 days now, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, many things have been happening. Missiles have been shot. From Ukraine into Russia. Russia has the power and, everything to do these sorts of attacks. When I say how likely it is for an EMP attack in 2025, it doesn't mean it has to be us. And that's the thing, is some of these devices have never been tested. You have the scientists say, oh, this much power would create this much power outages or this and that. Nobody really knows. There have been small tests and everything of dumbing down versions of an EMP, but there has never been an attack with the main devices. And there's multiple different devices. Setting a nuke off in the sky would create an EMP. But there are devices that could be set off that would create an EMP. And again, we don't know. And I'm not trying to go down conspiracy type things, but I'm not going to say the words because, the video will get flagged and everything. But, the little trails that you see in the sky from airplanes. What if those are magnetic trails of some sort? What if there's magnetic ions or whatever in the sky that they don't take an effect? What if an EMP used over in Ukraine triggers a reaction, a chain reaction that takes out everything on the planet. You know, we don't know this. You never know. But whatever that case may be, how an EMP attack could happen, you know, there's multiple ways. There are several ways. Let's not forget that an EMP attack does not have to be in the United States. Like I said, much better chance that it would be in Ukraine or even Poland, and we could still feel the effects of this in the United States. And like I said, we don't know what these things would happen, because we've tested small portions of this, but we never tested, you know, a full one out to see what it would do. For over 10 years, we have been aware of the fact that enemies could detonate a nuclear weapon high above the United States and damage or destroy 3 major power grids in our nation. While EMPs could affect the entire country, not all states would experience the impact equally. Certain areas are more likely to be hit harder and faster if you live in one of these red zones. You need to take extra precautions to protect your essential electronics. And you know, there's a lot of talk about these little devices. You know, you stick them in the Faraday cage bags, and you got Faraday cloth and homemade ones where you dig a hole and put a trash can in there. A metal trash can in the ground, and you put your devices in there. To me, I wouldn't guarantee something like that would save my things, whatever they may be, because, you know, just like electricity, when it strikes the ground, it travels throughout the ground. And if there's a metal cage or a metal trash can in there, you figure it's going to go into that. So I'm not dissing anybody who believes in any of that stuff, but there's a lot of research you need to get into. Just not watch somebody on YouTube digging a hole and putting a trash can in there and say, oh, I'm good. An EMT attack means lights out, and there's no telling when the grid could be repaired. And that's we got a lot of our most important parts from China. If an EMP came from China, yeah, a large nuclear detonation above country or country or county or country rather would be intentionally large-scale EMP attack. This would not only be a devastating attack on our infrastructure, but hundreds of millions would die in the months to come. And, you know, you have the experts out there and everything saying that in the first 30 days, 80 to 90% of the population would not make it. Now, a lot of times, you ever hear an old game used to be called the Oregon Trail, and it was based on the Oregon Trail. and some of the things that you would have to deal with on the Oregon Trail. Having to get food and your water, drinking water, to illnesses and stuff like that. Well, I consider this kind of the same thing, because this would be things that people would have to know about all over again, because people would come from other countries and come over and, oh, we want the freedom of being an American and this and that. And there's beautiful land up in Oregon area, territory and whatnot. So we want to go there. Well, these people have been living in cities and, areas in their countries that were relatively easy to survive in. Now, the Oregon Trail started a lot of times not so much in the East Coast, but it would start in the East Coast, and they would they would start in Texas, Oklahoma, those areas, because you can't start very well in the wintertime in Ohio and make your way to Oregon. So they would start down south, and they would work their way up until they would travel in those warmer areas in the winter, and then towards nicer weather they would get there, and then they could set up homes and everything like that. But what they found out is 80 to 90% of those people didn't make it. And nowadays it would be just the same thing. Water situation. That is the other than oxygen, that is the most important thing for human life, is water. If you go and drink out of a stream or something, that could be the end of you. Dysentery, the whole thing happened a lot back then. A lot of people died from not knowing how to take care of their water, because you have all these animals crossing these streams and everything, doing their business in it and whatnot. People come by and drink it. Didn't turn out good. Same thing with, using the bathroom, not paying attention to where your surroundings. A lot of people got bit on the behind from rattlesnakes for sitting down there trying to do their business. These would be things that would happen. And a lot of people say, oh, no, it wouldn't be no 80, 90% because the government would help us. Okay, we have power, we have electricity, we have all this stuff, we have internet, all this kind of stuff. Ask people in North Carolina this year how much help they got. What, $500-$600? They have no home. Their home just got washed away. Here's $500. How long did it take them to get water to these people? If it wasn't for a lot of people being neighborly and whatnot, a lot of those people, you could say 80-90% of the people who survived it would not be here. But we did have good folk helping people out. Now, say these people in California, New York City, Chicago, I don't think they would do this in those areas. you'd be lucky if you didn't get messed up asking for help in those areas. So when they say, "Oh no, yeah, the government would help us out and stuff," I wouldn't rely on the government to save me in an EMP or a flood or a tornado, more or less. So, do you think 80-90% of loss of life would be accurate after an EMP? Imagine all the people that don't know how to cook. They eat 3 meals a day from a service that they order on a cell phone to get delivered to their house or their workplace. How many of those people are going to be able to survive? That's how many preppers do you think there is in Los Angeles? How many survivalists live in the city of Los Angeles? I'm just giving that an example. I'm not trying to say California is bad or anything like that. But, that's interesting to think about, isn't it? So I'm not saying, come April 23rd or whatever, we're going to get hit by an EMP and, 80-90% of the population is going to be destroyed and whatnot. But is it bad just to think about something like that could happen and then do stuff about it to prepare for something like that? Or just think, oh, it's okay, the government's going to protect me. Yeah. And we're talking the residual EMP from a nuclear strike. With Russia updating its nuclear dominance, we are one step closer to actual nuclear weapons being used on the planet again. Not since World War II, I believe it was 1945. That was the last of the weapons used in the war. Every nuclear weapon is going to have a residual EMP effect. So, that being said, again, we don't know, because 1945 is a lot different than now. Being we don't know, you have to understand, a lot of places are, United States, we're supposed to be using the 5G and everything. This stuff is going all around the world, so you can place calls from here to there to everywhere with a cell phone. How do we know these things won't affect that and it'll have a domino effect and go all the way around? We don't know this stuff. There's so much energy in the sky right now. There's energy in the sky that makes people sick. That has trouble with walking and throws their equilibrium or whatever it's called off, just because of the excess usage of stuff in the sky. Ugh. Not to mention, all this stuff. An EMP would be probably the least of our worries if nuclear devices were used. The kinetic and the radiation and destruction of these detonations would be far worse than any of this stuff. And, again, I'm not even talking about solar flares or anything like that could trigger any of this stuff. I'm just talking about attacks, where it comes from or whatever. And right now we're on the verge of trade wars and everything. When does that turn into something else, Yeah. And like I said, probably tomorrow I am going to do a video on, if an EMP happens, what kind of things should you have prepared for ahead of time? And should you prepare for ahead of time? Those are the most important things. And like I said, this article brought up indicators. There's a lot of indicators that have popped up that say that there could be an EMP this year, 2025. I'm not going to go into those too much because I kind of talked about it a little bit, but increased military activity deployments, exercise in tense regions, Russia now has 11,000 Korean soldiers, North Korean, sorry. NATO wrapped up its first large-scale military exercise in those areas over there. Heightened rhetoric and breakdowns of diplomatic channels. Trump just gave somebody the boot out of the White House because they didn't want peace, and they were very disrespectful and all that. There are other countries said they are going to deploy boots on the ground from their military to Ukraine. That means multiple countries being involved in what could start, a bad situation. There has been a lot of testing going on with these supersonics and ballistic missiles and, all these things. Yeah, we have a lot of potential of what could happen, and it's not good, and not good at all. And there are maps out there that will show the states that would be most affected by these attacks and whatnot. And some states are very safer and whatnot. Some are not. But like I said, I think this is something good to always think about, and not go and get all scared and I'm going to go out and buy all this food and stuff. And you should already be preparing for this stuff. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Expect a video come out next couple days on how to prepare for these things. Till next time, God bless.